when it comes to asphalt paving machines, what safety recommendations do you have?
So for asphalt pavers, a lot of like we were talking about, a lot of the maintenance does have to be done in the field. So if we are doing some maintenance in the field, we try to have two mechanics on the job so they can look out for each other, keep an eye on everything. When it comes to maintenance, like I said, double teaming or making sure you have two mechanics on a task, knowing whether it could be done in the field or you have to bring it into the shop to, do it correctly. It comes down to a lot of locking out, tagging out, make sure that you've de-energized everything. One of the big things at Ajax, as far as all equipment in general, not just pavers, is we require before the start of your shift to do a 360 walk around. Also, we have operator care manuals here at Ajax where it's a QR code on that piece of equipment and you can scan it with your phone and it'll let you know like where the grease points are, the blind spots, stuff to keep out for or keep a lookout for on each piece of equipment. So
Is that information that Ajax has created itself and put the codes on itself?
yes. So it's part of our process called TPR, which is total reliability process. So it's something that we do internally. So each QR code is specific to that piece of equipment, and it's almost like an internal owner's manual per se. So you can scan it, it'll show you the piece of equipment, show you where to grease, how to check fluids, what to open, what not to open. It gives you kind of a breakdown of that piece of equipment, what to look for, what to stay away from, and then it also gives you like a operator's view as to the blind spots because a lot of times people don't realize the size of the blind spots when you're up on a paver or a piece of equipment. They're much larger than you think. And when you're on the ground, you're like, oh, I'm good, they can see me. So it also talks about blind spots. And another thing at Ajax is if you're within 10 feet of a piece of equipment, you have to get a thumbs up from the operator that they do see you and know that you're there. So that's another thing that we do to help with the blind spots.
So the materials that the person accesses when they scan the code,
Mhm.
are they on your intranet? Are they materials that you created yourself?
Yeah. So we had an
Okay.
internal team that created everything ourselves. So they would take sometimes, like, for example, with our pavers, we might use the manufacturer's blind spots, but we would put it into this QR code or document where they can easily access it in the field. And a lot of it comes down to communication while you're on the paver. If you are in a work zone, that's the main thing, is make sure that you have communication. Uh, for our crews, our paving crews, we've just implemented headsets that they can use with certain people on the crew will have headsets that they can communicate with each
My
other.
desk. Could you explain more about how those work and what the technology is?
It's a radio headset with a microphone. So if I'm up on the paver, I can communicate to the lead guy on the ground or even the lead roller further ahead. So then that way we can keep everybody in the loop. But it's much easier than yelling. If something goes wrong, they'll hear in an instant, car in the work zone, whatever. So we can communicate across the what mile, 2 mile project that we have going on.
What are some of the general practices that you've put in place to keep your paving crews safe?
So one of our major general practices that we have in place is called an internal traffic control plan, which if you go back and look, ARPA kind of has something in place also, which is similar. So basically what our superintendents do is they use Bluebeam to take a map or a picture of the job site, and then they will let everybody know where trucks are supposed to be coming into, where to expect the equipment, what to expect on the job site that night. And we will actually have diagrams like, asphalt trucks will be a red line. They're to come this way. If we're doing sod trucks are a green line, look for that way, dirt trucks. So it helps organize all the equipment and the flow of the equipment within the work zone on our job site. So the way that the ITCP works is we issue them for just about every job that we have. It comes from the superintendent or foreman, and we make sure that we get it out to everybody involved. So our subcontractors, our trucking companies, our internal trucking, anybody that would be on site, we want to get this ITCP out. It explains where our work zone is or our active work zone, the hours of the shift, what we're going to be doing that day, who to expect on site. It'll mark where the officers are supposed to start out at. It kind of lets you know what we're planning for that evening. And then it's issued before the job starts. And then once we get to the job site, we have a daily huddle and it's reiterated at the daily huddle. It's basically a Google Maps and it's fantastic because you know where to go for that evening. So we send it out via email. So they can access it by their phone or by email. And then, like I said, the foremans all have tablets. So they could pull it up on the tablet that night once everyone's in the laydown yard and be like, okay, dump trucks are going to be coming in on 27th Street West, heading, east. And then they're going to exit or clean out at this spot and then continue down the road. So the foreman, at the start of the shift will reiterate the ITCP for that day and let everybody know what to expect.